For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's Wednesday practice of Arizona week. Now, Dan, I kind of want to start with what we saw when we first entered USC's practice today. It was a daunting sight for USC's defense. Both their starting corners and their starting nickel were not dressed out watching warm-up, so it's a banged-up secondary for USC. And then if you include Keely Eure, who also wasn't dressed out, and, as well as Christian Rector, it's a banged-up defense. But it seemed like the thought from the players and the coaches were it's an opportunity for the young guys, and they're not as daunted as maybe as it looked as daunting as it was.
Yeah, I like their attitude, although, it's I snarkily looked at the three guys standing right next to one another, not in pads, watching them warm up, do calisthenics, and I thought, is this what they were talking about a fight in a phone booth? Three of their secondary guys could actually fit into a phone booth, and you think, gosh, you don't want the majority of your secondary to be able to watch the game from a phone booth, and then to have Keely Eure and Christian, right down there next to him. Yeah. That's one of those. So I think, you've been around teams here where that would be that would throw them off. I mean, that would be like, how do you go out and play? You didn't get that sense. I think Dre Burns does just a wonderful job in terms of motivating these guys, and he's like, he couldn't be more confident in the, next man up theme, and all he could say is, I'm just thrilled for the opportunity for these new guys. Yeah. And when you talk to other kids, they're singing the same tune. So good for them. I mean, I think, what else can you do? I mean, it doesn't do you any good to go in there and woe is me. Oh my gosh, we're screwed with those young guys that haven't proven themselves. I will say this, they've got a little bit of a track record with Greg Burns this year, because most of the guys he's put out there the first time have done pretty well. They look like they know what they're doing. Yeah. And I love it when he says, I coach them all the same. I don't coach the veterans, the starters, any different than I coach these guys. So they're all getting the same coaching. So I think I liked what I saw in terms of, all the guys that are, you don't like to see anybody hurt, but I like the way they're handling it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a credit to Greg Burns for how he's prepared his players so far this season. But it looks like Max Williams, Jaden Williams, Chase Williams, all the Williams, I guess, and then Kalana McCalla, who did get some time against Notre Dame, will have their shot against Arizona. What are you expecting as far as the depth chart looks like come Saturday?
I don't really know, because I don't know. I know they think maybe that Isaac Taylor Stewart has a chance, and usually, you probably want to see if a guy can go, and you get him out there right away. I know Clancy said they're limiting Chase Williams to just two positions instead of three. Yeah. Both safeties and nickel, and now they're just going with the two safeties. So they're trying to make it a little bit simpler for him than not to have to be learn three positions. So I think that's always a good thing and a good decision. And it's nice to think you can take a position away from somebody like Chase Williams and let him concentrate on the two, even in a situation where you've got three starters possibly out. I like that kind of focus, that we're still going to do it the way we're going to do it, and we're going to have them really ready to do what they have to do. So, but yeah, that depth chart, when Clancy was asked about it, and he said, we're still working our way through a lot of things, and they clearly are.
Yeah. Well, given that there's question marks even when it comes to EA and Christian Rector, I mean, they're facing Khalil Tate, which is the guy who you want all your starters for in this game. What do you expect for guys to step up? How do you stop a Khalil Tate if you don't have maybe an OG who's physical in stopping the run? How do you work around that if you're USC's coaches?
Well, they all have to, step up in terms of discipline. They've got to, keep to their rush lanes. They've got to, just do all the things that you're teaching them. All the things that Coach Chad wasn't very happy about at the end of the Notre Dame game, when he kind of got in everybody's face, and they all took it as, he's trying to make us better. We have to be more disciplined up front, for example. We have to be more disciplined everywhere. I know they're going to try to do a little bit differently on the edge. They're not going to tell us exactly what they're going to do differently on the edge, but I think they clearly know they have to figure something out a little better than what they've been doing. But I'm not crazy when I hear them, constantly say. The thing that I'm not crazy about is we have to trust our technique when it comes to tackling. And you want to say, you're technique's not good enough. It's not, you know, that's been kind of proven. But, you know, they know about it. They know what they need to do. Whether they're going to be capable of doing it, I don't know. But they're going to be at the tackle in the open field.
Yeah.
And, you know, Arizona, as Clancy said, Arizona spreads you out both in the passing game and in the run game. And you got Khalil Tate who can run, you know, he can run the RPOs as well as you want anybody to do it, and he can throw it 75 yards. That combination is almost unheard of in college football. So he's kind of a, you know, one-of-a-kind guy, and he's got their attention. You know, a lot of these guys go back to high school with him. John Houston and, you know, they met when they were freshmen in high school, and they kind of know each other all the way. But he's got their attention.
Yeah, but when it comes to Khalil Tate, Clancy Pendergast has kind of figured him out. There's been factors that have helped USC's defense. I know Khalil Tate was injured for one of those games, and I think Weather got involved in another game, but it seems like Clancy has kind of gotten Tate figured out a little bit.
You mean the game it was like 120 and your shoes melted on the field in Tucson? That one? Yeah, I think he kind of, I don't think Khalil tried to do almost everything that game, and he ran out of gas, ran out of Gatorade, ran out of everything. But I think he's playing like a senior now. He's not trying to do everything, and he's much more measured in what he does. And I think in some ways he can be more dangerous. And he's got a couple of, you know, running backs there that can really carry the load. J.J. Taylor for sure. That, you know, you gotta you know, be disciplined and play all of them. And USC hasn't been great against against any sort of option and any sort of really athletic running quarterback. So there has to be some improvement there, and they know it. You know, I guess they can also say, well, we just have to outscore them.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you, how much does that put the impetus on the other side of the ball to run the score up against a defense that is not statistically, does well statistically so far? How much is it important for them to do that this week?
Well, that's what I think I wrote that today, that, you know, this might be one of those games where you just say, more offense, you've got to get it right, because they don't have that kind of a shutdown defense, and the offense just has to make their plays when they come their way, and the defense has to make enough of those plays. Yeah. And this is a game you're probably glad they're playing at home, and we'll see. But I do think they're going to have to score some points to get through this one. Yeah,
without a doubt, put some less pressure on the defense this time around. We pretty much mentioned all the injuries that we've seen so far today. The only ones that I didn't mention were Tyler Vaughns. He was out for an undisclosed reason. We don't get to talk to Clay Helton on Wednesday, so we'll find out more about that on Thursday. And then Vavae Malepeai did return. He had a sleeve on his left knee, but that seems like good news, considering that for what we know, he had that cleaning out of his knee on Tuesday. So if it doesn't seem like it was too invasive if he was able to walk around pretty well today, as far as what we saw.
Yeah, I was stunned to see he and Keely walk up the tunnel together, and he's just moving on nicely, smiling. Didn't look like he was, in any kind of pain or whatever, and favoring that left leg much. So they said it was going to be minor surgery. Maybe it turned out to be, really minor, and that would be the good news. But it was nice to see Vavae with a big smile on his face and feeling good about, getting out the very next day after surgery. That's terrific.
Yeah. Now, Dan, it's that time of the video, that time of the week. Time for predictions. How do you think this one's going to go on Saturday?
You'd like to see, 42-28 or something like that. You'd see USC actually score 6 times and see what. It's hard to imagine that you're going to shut Arizona down. I don't kind of see that happening. But they need people on defense to make plays. They need a Drake Jackson, Talanoa Hufanga. Those guys have to make. John Houston, you've got to, make some plays, shut them down, and then you've got to be able to run the ball with discipline, and the no penalty kind of game you played at Notre Dame, the no interception, no turnover game. If you can keep that going, I think they've got a chance to put enough points on the board to feel pretty good about it. But this is not a game where you can come back and throw three picks or have 11 penalties. You just that you can't do that.
Yeah, especially for what it means in the South race and Clay's motto of controlling their own destiny. They have to get it done. But any final thoughts before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, when you talk about controlling your own destiny, there are 4 teams in the Pac-12 South with 2-1 records.
Yep.
So everybody is telling one another. There are 4 coaches out there saying you control your own destiny, you don't if you don't win this game. You just have to, and then you got to go on a short week. You got to go to Colorado. You got to win that game.
Yep.
And then the big challenge, you got to get two wins to get yourself ready, and then you got Oregon coming in. So this is. I like the way the schedule breaks. I know it's tough for teams going on the road on the Friday game. The record is really not good for those Friday travel teams, but you just got to make that. Got to make that work for you, and give yourself a chance to come back here 5-3, 4-1 in the Pac-12, and Oregon coming in. But you can't get there for that moment without the next 2 weeks.
Yep. Makes sense. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for USC's Wednesday practice of Arizona week. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.